have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-part question.
Okay.
So from the time that you've been, let's say, in the business, how has learning changed? And then how has learning, or how did the pandemic change learning? So
Great
start with the
question.
first one. I'm trying. We've been here we've been practicing. It's 106 episodes, so we got to
Great question.
do.
Okay, so the first question, I definitely have an answer for that. So traditionally, people in my role would assess students and determine what type of learning style they have. So for example, you would take a little quiz and it would tell you you're a visual or an auditory or a kinesthetic learner, right? So it's called learning styles. This was quite popular. As a field, kind of collectively, we've moved away from doing this because what the research has found is that knowing your learning style does not necessarily help you to learn more effectively. And what ends up happening is when students are told, oh, you're an auditory or a visual learner, they kind of pigeonhole themselves to thinking that is the only way that they should be learning, when in reality, it's context specific, it's course specific. You know what I mean? So you may be taking a course that you need to learn kinesthetically, visually, and auditorily. You may need a combination, right? That being said, though, I'm really big on science, as I mentioned, and I typically only teach students science-backed strategies, meaning they've been scientifically proven to be effective through comparative studies. So neuroscientists will study, two groups of students. Group A is trying these strategies, Group B is trying these strategies, and the group that has the most effectiveness with testing will be deemed to be scientifically effective. And there is one strategy called dual coding that has been proven to be effective. And what dual coding means is there's more than one way to code and process the information. And one of those ways is visual, because we're visual creatures. So if I tell you my son for Halloween was Black Panther, the Black Panther costume with all the muscles. And every time I looked over, he was flexing, flexing his abs and his muscles. So when I tell you that, in your head, you're picturing a little boy in a Black Panther costume flexing. And the reason you're doing that is because we think in pictures. We always think in pictures. We don't think in words. So when a student is reading and learning and just looking at words, if they don't have a visual way to conceptualize what those words mean, it's harder for their brain to interpret and therefore retain that information. So I never ask students about their learning style. I instead teach them science-backed strategies. So that's how it's changed for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Your second question, the pandemic.
How has the pandemic changed learning?
Oh, I think the pandemic made learning very hard for a large number of students, if not the majority. Some students did do well with online. And maybe that's because of, maybe social anxieties, or if they had maybe other issues that maybe affected them in the classroom. But I think because it was so unexpected and because we didn't really have the tools or the wherewithal to know how to teach students en masse like that virtually, I think a lot of students had huge gaps in their knowledge as a result. Every single teenager that I met with admitted to me that they would turn their camera, they would set a timer, log in, turn the camera off and go back to sleep. They were not learning at all. And now the students that I'm seeing in post-secondary who are just starting, they're suffering the after effects of that. They have no foundational knowledge. They have very poor time management skills. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write or take notes. They don't know how to study. So we talked about it already. We're already not being taught how to study. But now you miss several foundational years and you're coming into post-secondary. And then, the system is different. They're not really allowed to fail students. So I think students aren't getting the remediation they need. They de-stream certain grades, which I have mixed feelings about. But it's been difficult. But I'm definitely seeing a huge difference in the quality of the strategies that the students are coming into post-secondary with, for sure.
Is there any type of accommodations that post-secondary schools are using to help accommodate the kids that have lost the advantage of being able to develop those skills?
Yeah, so definitely. I feel that a lot of programs are starting to, a lot of them had, but I find more and more are having what are called like foundational success courses, where they're teaching them general success strategies in the first semester that can help them with all their courses. And in high schools too, they do have, they're called GLE or GLS classes. So they're optional, sadly. So many students choose not to take them, but it is teaching them learning strategies. But from what I hear, a lot of those courses, if you do sign up for it, the teachers like just use this as a time to do your homework. So they're not even teaching them. But if you look at the curriculum for those courses, it's supposed to be teaching them similar to what I teach.
But then, yeah, because maybe the teachers don't have the passion
Or
the
the
skill set.
expertise. Exactly.
Right.